Здравствуйте.
Good afternoon. This is a business platform 100% Tatarstan. And as of today, we have the deputy of the board of directors of TAIF, Albert. So the group TAIF decided to use the program Unprecedented to improve by 2030 with an investment more than 2 trillion rubles. So what are the projects are going to be the basis of this program, and what are the expected results, not just for TAIF but for Tatarstan in general? So as for the amounts of money you just mentioned, yes, I cannot even comprehend 2 trillion rubles. I cannot imagine. Yes, it's quite simple. First of all, this is a program that we have started implementing in 2015. And of course, the numbers are being adjusted every year, and it has something to do with the changes on the world market, on political situation in the world. And I think these numbers are real, and, well, the size of this money, the sum, of course, well, a lot of people didn't believe, but at the moment, people that work with me, they are quite sure that we'll reach it. Yes, of course, it's a lot of money. It will take a lot of effort, more than we used to make, but I think it will bring some results. And what are the main projects that are part of this program? Let's just name them. We'll talk about them later in detail. But what will it bring to us in terms of macroeconomics? First of all, the main objective of this program is to increase dramatically the income of the Republic of Tatarstan in terms of its budget and in terms of the people that work in TAIF. So this is the main objective, to have a positive influence on the welfare of the people in Tatarstan, but this can be achieved only through these programs. So it took dozens of years to prepare this program. It has a lot of experience from previous generations, and as a result, in the nearest 50 years, we are planning to get the best benefits, best results, based on our opportunities, based on opportunities of TAIF, and based on the resources, natural resources that we are blessed with here. So the main projects, yes, that's what I'm interested in, actually. Well, all the projects there are important, and they're all interconnected. So we cannot say that one project can exist without another. They all continue each other, and a project can be the end or the beginning of another project. So mostly it's about investment into the stock market, and based on that, the construction of oil processing, petrochemical and power plants. It's including power stations and huge plants on monomer production and also polymer production plants, plastic plants, rubber plants, a lot of oil processing products that we need. They're quite expensive. We don't need a lot of them, but we still need them. And of course, in this project, we also have very liquid, very high equity tools that are going to be in demand by 2050. And what's going to be after that, it's a different story. So the governmental expertise approved Nizhnekamsk Neftekhim to manufacture methanol, 500,000 tons per year. What are the opportunities that it will give us? Well, this project is aimed at improvement of the internal economy of the petrochemical products that we manufacture, especially the rubber. And as a perspective, we think that this raw material will be used for the manufacturing of other petrochemical products. We'll have some experience. We already have experience where we're going to process this product and to get some very very expensive products. So ethylene 600 project, despite all the difficulties and crises, you're following the plan, you're sticking to the plan. And it is planned that this complex will be a center that will deal with new productions. What kind of production is it going to be, and how can you evaluate the construction at the moment? Well, it is influencing us as well, and I think consequently 2 or 3 years is the minimum amount of time that we need in order to combat the current situation of this, of this infection. Despite this, the decisiveness that we have in our team, it allows us to be optimistic and to look in the future, to spare no effort, to use all the opportunities that we have to perform this ethylene 600. This is just the first part of the project. We'll meet the deadlines, the planned deadlines, but the main product is a little bit of a secret, but I will tell you that it's going to be, it's a petrochemical product, what we get before we usual people use it. So it's going to be a bit of a different product. The way we use it as a car seat, tire, packaging, glasses, clothes, etc. And this is the end product. And up to that film that we're using on a daily basis. Yes, and some additives, food additives. Okay, so Kazan or Xintus is planning to update the shops for ethylene production in order to process propane. Is it going to be helpful to compensate the deficit of ethane? Well, about the raw material provision is always an issue, and I believe that it is still an issue, and it is going to be an issue. It can be solved. It is going to be solved. Sometimes the capacities are higher than our opportunities for raw materials. Sometimes we have more raw materials than we can process. It depends. So this is an equation with two unknown, and propane, as you mentioned, is just one of the parts of this program that is just an additional backup raw material to manufacture ethylene and other polymers. But do you agree that it will allow to decrease the deficit of ethane, which is always a deficit? It is always threatening the functioning of this production. Well, I think in the nearest future, in the nearest years, you will see that all these ethane issues can also be resolved. The most important thing is to be ready for that and to have partners. We already have partners, and we're already working with them so this ethane manufacturing can also be solved and we can manufacture as much as we need. Okay, about the gas pipeline that has been commissioned recently, is it going to help us with the raw material issue? Well, if the electricity and steam is raw material, then yes, it can help us to solve these materials and fuel. So this is going to be the one that helps us with the power capacity of Nizhny industrial area in general, and towns and populations that live on this territory. So in the nearest future, the program is going to cover our needs, fulfill our needs, and I can tell you for sure, for 50 years, the population that lives in this area will also be fulfilled, and the development, and also there is a very burning issue since the Soviet times that they need the ring system, because there are 3 independent sources of supplying natural gas, and it's going to solve all the energy issues that appear. So in fact, you're saying that all this power supply of all the Nizhny cluster is going to be solved, and for its further development for the nearest 50 years. Okay, clear. Albert, so TAIF is one of the most modern companies of Tatarstan and in Russia in terms of the development of new technologies. So how do you interact with foreign colleagues in this respect? Well, first of all, it's daily and it's hard work, and it takes a lot from people that we work together. They have to be careful in studying all the processes, technological and industrial processes that take place in our country and abroad. And they have to choose the technologies that we can use. This is all constant search. So the largest companies like Linde, General Electric, Siemens, largest European banks at the moment cooperate with TAIF with pleasure. How did you manage to achieve it? Well, I think that it was not that complicated. If you say this, you need to do this. And if you do this, then you need to say. And to show in practice that it's not just words that you're saying, but a lot of colleagues, a lot of your colleagues, they work together and you stick by your word. And the agreements that you achieve are not just words for you, it's a law. And based on that, we have trust, and if you lose the trust, it can bring a lot of financial losses, first of all. And maybe it's not even the most important thing. It will also bring you a lot of moral losses for both sides that cannot be measured with any currency. It can even end lives of people. So it is important. For some people, honor is not just a word. Truth is not just a word, and the meaning of life is the thing that you have to be honest and truthful. So this is the most important thing. So I think that this is why we do what we do, the friendship that we have with our partners all over the world from other countries. I think it's very important for business to be honest, to be truthful, and to stick to what you're saying, to stand by your words. And I think it's attractive for everyone, because this is the way we build relations between each other. Even if it's a relationship in a family, it's universal, it's applicable everywhere. Yes, it's a lifestyle, it should be like this. And if a person is born like this and is learning from life the same principles, then you will be successful. So, and experts are saying that competition is growing, especially among polymer manufacturers. So how do you evaluate the saturation of the Russian and the world market in this respect? Well, what you've mentioned before, the way this market is saturated, is in 1995, all the companies, all the enterprises that were part of TAIF were manufacturing for 16 billion. And last year, it was 900 billion. So you see how many times is the difference? Well, I'm not that good with math, honestly. It's approximately by 40, 50 times. Yeah, 50. So this is a lot of work, a lot of investment, and a very good result, even in Soviet times, despite all the centralized planning, all the centralized financing, and the supply. Still, there was competition, but all over the world, the whole economy is built on competition. Competition existed, exists, and will exist in the future. And we always think that competition yesterday was not as high as it is now. We always think that today it is harder. And we always know that today is easier than tomorrow. But in fact, this is just a word and competition always exists. And if you want to compete, if you want to work, you need to be competitive. You need to fight over your market share, over your partnership, and over your country, so it flourish. And you have to compete on the world market, and you have to bring a lot of profit to your own homeland and to your own country and to yourself as well. You always have to think about yourself as well. A person that does not respect himself won't be respected by other people. And so if we're talking about world markets, the President of the Republic of Tatarstan, Rustam Minnikhanov, paid attention and draw attention of Vladimir Putin that we have some issues as local exporters of polymers. There is a one-way restrictions, limitations, and what do you think is the right solution? One of the competition features is that this international regulations of the in terms of taxation for import and export. And people can think differently about that. Some countries give up to 25–30% of tax, but it's still profitable. For example, countries that belong to the World Trade Organization, they have their own limitations, and there are some restrictions. And they always bring only bad things to the country that introduces them, but still, you get the understanding afterwards when you lose everything. It's better to compete equally to maintain the manufacture of your own country and of other countries where you export or where you import. And then it's going to be evenly distributed, and the conditions and standard of living is going to be normal everywhere. So that's why we treat it this way. We ask these countries to think about themselves, to think about the future, and they need to think that tomorrow is coming and it can be different. So that's why our president suggested to Vladimir Putin to tell other countries through some actions, or, as you mentioned, by mirroring them so they can understand us better.
We have an agreement about the establishment of project center in Tatarstan together with our Japanese partners, Mitsui and Toei Engineering. What is the target? What is the objective of this center? And what are the opportunities for our petrochemical industry in Tatarstan? If we said this, we'll do this. We are doing all the work on this. Toei Mitsui, this group participates in our project that was first implemented on deep processing of petrochemical residuals. Since this technology is not yet completely studied and we have some tests are underway, we are working together with Toei Mitsui. We have done a lot of discoveries of the potential other features, and we have an active machinery in place. So, and we think it will be used everywhere in the world. And we would like these technologies to be implemented everywhere. The next objective of Toei Engineering, they have a lot of experience in developing technologies. They have licensed basic projects in petrochemical production. So we would like to keep the traditions, the experiences, best practices in engineering of petrochemical manufacturing and production, something that we still lack. Or something that have become forgotten or obsolete. we don't want to lose the speed of production, and we want to comply the requirements in engineering of modern technology, and to continue and not to create something which already exists. Tatarstan is the base, the school, the center of petrochemical industry in Russia. So our partners have been convinced in this, and I think we will see the first fruitful results of our collaborative work. Albert Shigabutdinov, I understand that today we won't cover even hundreds of shares of your production of energy and construction of new power station in Kazan and Nizhnekamsk. It's not only for TAIF, it's for the entire country. What is the strategic message for this branch? The energy component is one of the main expenditures in the cost of the production of any product. Even at home, if you cook using electric cookers, you spend energy, electric energy. So it has good price. You can afford anything. So the situation we observed in the beginning of 2000 was very complex. The energy capacity of those products we were producing and those production lines that we were constructing was very high. And at that time, the prices were non-competitive for heat energy and electrical energy. So we had to deal with this, to tackle it. In order to produce highly competitive, energy-efficient products, we had to be involved. Today, the prices on heat energy that TAIF right now is developing and uses in production of petrochemical industry products is lower than the prices of 2000. Even though during the time we increased the costs, the expenditures, the tariffs on natural resources, they have grown times. For instance, 2010, the fuel for the production of the price for the fuel was around 350. So right now this index is around 200 or 220 of kilowatt hour. We managed to reduce the expenditures by nearly 2 times. So the main component of the production of heat energy is fuel. So we continue to work on this. And the best technologies, the best equipment produced in the world is available at our stations. The biggest one in the world is General Electric's, GE and Siemens. We have them. They're our partners, they're our friends, and every year the efficiency from our collaborative work for our group of TAIF, for Tatarstan and for Russia is growing. Just recently, the president of Tatarstan, Rustam Minikhanov, was mentioning that we have to go away from low-efficient boilers and come closer to energy-efficient boilers. I think this is the correct approach. I'm happy that you agree with the opinion of the president. It's his idea, and today it's successfully implemented. During the Soviet times, despite the different disadvantages in the sector, the Republic of Tatarstan, Kazan, Nizhnekamsk, Chelny were transferred to these combined energy resources. With the failure of the USSR, we moved away from this system, and Kazan, up until 1990, consumed around 12.5, nearly 13 million calories of heat energy in combined mode. The more heat is processed, the more electric energy we can produce. If we reduce heat production, the electric production is also reduced. So in 2010, in Kazan, the consumption of heat energy by the population and the industrial facilities fell up until 4-5 million calories a year, 3 times. And today the president approved the program, and the organizational, the financial targets have been achieved, and today we have the right capacity in Kazan and in big cities to implement the project and the program that you mentioned, and within the nearest 5 years, I think it will be totally completed. We hope that in the nearest 10 years, we won't see a significant growth of consumption demand in heat energy. If you think about the 4 million people, it will be a huge amount. But for this, we need to implement this program for each person. It will be implemented. If the president said he would do it, we won't just move away from this subject. We know how much TAIF invests in social area. It's huge money. Why do you pay attention to the social sector? Starting from 1995, in the development of the industrial sector of TAIF, we invested more than $20 billion, 1.5 trillion of rubles into the production facility and the company itself to buy assets, and around $9 billion plus dollars. I'm talking about $1 billion, $9 billion. I can tell you in rubles. At that time, at the rate of that year, it was around 300 billion rubles into social sector that was not associated with the production, that doesn't give us products. This is the program of the first president of Tatarstan. It was the reconstruction of Bulgar and Sviazhsk, and there were many more. The research in history, the establishment of Almanac of Tatars, lots of others. Personally, I consider it was the correct decision. And we say, those who don't know their history, they don't have the future. That's what we say. We need to know our wisdom, our 1,000th year of experience. If all those 300 billion rubles were invested only into the development of production, we would see a lot of big companies, highly profitable companies. But as Mintimir Shaimeev was mentioning at that time, it was in the beginning of 2000. What we do today, there would be a lot of companies, but there would be a lot of poor people also. So it was the first president of Tatarstan and Rustam Nurgalevich, you people who are developing everything. What are we leaving behind us? We need to have hockey, we need to have theater, we need to have nice street, sport complexes, public spaces. On the other hand, such projects should be implemented. We also need highly proficient personnel that have to be provided with the necessary conditions. They need a hockey of the highest quality. Where is the conservatoire? Where is the ballet? Where is the theater? Educational facilities? Where are nice cities, shops, recreational centers? Comfortable environment. Only there we can create and provide with the best technologies for highly efficient, highly profitable projects. Thank you very much for the first President of Tatarstan and for Rustam Nurgalevich. I think we need to create more industries, to have more tax payments to the budget, and to have our infrastructure developed, rural areas developed. I was mistaken at that time. We need to do everything parallelly. You work today, you have to have the conditions for your work today.
Thank you very much. I have the last question to ask. A famous motto of TAIF, the strength for the welfare. And I want you to explain the meaning of this motto. It has a lot of philosophical meanings. In order to use the strength for the welfare, to have a beautiful country, beautiful production, you need to spend a lot of effort. You need to have a lot of patience to build a beautiful country. So if the strength of our country and our people is high, then our country and our people will always live a nice life and will always have a future, yes, for the good of our homeland. Thank you very much, Albert Shigabutdinov, and I remind you again that our guest today in our business interview was the head of the board of directors, Albert Shigabutdinov, and we continue our program.